I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the Giants. I mean, now that I'm not on the Giants, I can actually say the truth. I grew up an Eagles fan.
Oh my God.
Malik Neighbors is one of the better receivers, probably one of the best receivers I've been around. I feel like there's no way I don't get another opportunity in the NFL next year.
What's going on, y'all, man? We got a little different video coming today. We got a little player interview, trying to get this in the works beginning of the year. Glad we got it coming through now. And with the Giants season looming the way it is, what better than to have something different coming through on this channel, man? Well, I appreciate all y'all for tapping in and appreciate the guests that's going to be jumping in. We got my guy, Ayir Asante. What's going on, my guy?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, man. I'm out here. So, obviously, I was just seeing the thumbnail. My guy, Ayir Asante, was on the practice squad or in the training camp with the New York Giants when it was breaking out, man. So, had to get my guy on here. Been trying to get it on for a little while. And we're just here to talk about Ayir Asante's story and where we're headed overall. So, just to start off with you, man, like I said, I was diving into you a little bit. I saw you're from Jersey. So, talk to me a little bit about your upbringing in Jersey, man. How did you discover football and how it was overall?
Yeah, I'm from Franklin Township, New Jersey. Right around New Brunswick, right around Rutgers, and I kind of been around football my whole life. Been around like sports my whole life. Pop Warner. Growing up, I kind of played football, basketball, and soccer. Always stayed active and everything like that. But before I went to high school, football kind of stood out to me. I had to make a decision on whether I was going to play football or soccer. Um, I chose football. Uh, so then I ended up going to St. Peter's Prep up in Jersey City. That's where my cousin Khalil Wilkes, he went, and I saw him come up and end up go to play at Stanford and stuff like that. So I knew it was a good program and everything like that. Um, so I ended up playing at St. Peter's Prep um, and loved it. Great school, great community, great team. Playing for Coach Hansen. Um, it was an awesome opportunity for me. And I love the whole process. I love being from Jersey. I love the state of New Jersey. The people, the culture, everything like that. So, um, super fortunate to be from New Jersey and for my path up and experience around just for people, football, and everything in between. I think Jersey's a really unique place to come up culturally and socially. I think that helps development.
For sure. So talk to me a little bit about St. Peter's Prep, man, because I was looking into it. And listen, I mean, I reside in Central Florida. I play high school in Florida. I think Florida is one of the most talented states when it comes to football. So you tell me, man, how is New Jersey when it comes to football? And as about St. Peter's Prep, like, is that one of the top schools in your area? I even saw for you, obviously, you were one of the top players. I saw you were number nine in the state, I believe, when it came to the receiver position. So talk to me a little bit about St. Peter's Prep and football in general out of New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey's a smaller state, so I think that a lot of people kind of underestimate um, the talent level or the amount of talent that comes out of here. But we're such a densely populated state filled with a lot of players and a lot of good football players. Good athletes. I think we're known for basketball as well, track, wrestling and everything like that. But football for sure is, I feel like New Jersey's a powerhouse that gets overlooked a little bit. And then the conference that I'm in, I think I don't know what it's called now, but when I was in high school, it was called the Super Football Conference. Um, at times we were rated like the second most competitive conference in the country. Um, every receiver that I started with in high school went Division One. We had some teams, some classes with 16 Division One kids. Multi All Americans and stuff like that, and that was every team in our conference. You got the Bergen Catholics, the Don Bosco, St. Joe's, DePaul, Paramus Catholic, and then St. Peter's and stuff like that, where um, a bunch of all boys Catholic or Jesuit schools. A lot of discipline, a lot of hard nosed football with a lot of talent. Um, and the thing is, with how it used to be, it used to have we used to have this thing called PowerPoints. So you couldn't just schedule, two or three public schools and kind of just beat up on them just to like help your
Yeah.
record out or whatever. So the first two games are always out of state. You had to play some ranked teams. Um, because of how the positioning was, it like if you were to go and beat a public school by 50, But let's say Burton Catholic went to modern day in California, who would be like the number one team in the country, and they lost by 3 or whatever, then they end up getting more points and positioning for playoffs than you would. So we'd go out and try to play the IMGs. We played a team from Georgia, Blessed Trinity, in Ireland. Funny enough, sophomore year, but it's there's a lot of talent out there. Good football, and yeah, there's a lot of dudes across the NFL that are from that same conference. And then beyond that, just from the state of New Jersey. So I think New Jersey football gets overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, no, there's so much football out here, man. And when we talk about obviously up north versus down south, it's not hidden. I mean, when the winter comes around, not really people want to be outside. Not everybody's really in season. Versus other states like the California, like Florida, like Texas. That's what we talk about when we talk about football, and it's all year round. So it's really dope to get a different insight from somebody that's on there. Last little tidbit from St. Peter's Prep. So you going in uh, whenever you did, and you leaving as a senior. Like, what do you feel like was your best traits that you left with versus when you entered? Because I don't think you started at St. Peter's Prep, correct? Like as freshman.
Oh no, I didn't. No, didn't. No, no, no.
Hmm. Yeah. So by the time you got there and the time you left.
Yeah, so I mean, my freshman year, we got in. I'm playing freshman football, and we're just trying to figure out how to make an impact. I actually ended up coming in trying to be quarterback.
Hmm.
Lost the quarterback battle to my boy Patrick Hogney, who ended up being a punter with me in college. So that's kind of funny. But he he threw 10 touchdowns freshman year, and I caught 9 of them. So
Uh,
that's been my guy since then. But I think, I mean, a lot of my development from St. Peter's Prep was off the field, honestly. Being a Jesuit high school, the only Jesuit high school in New Jersey, they kind of teach you, the man for others and, our ideology and stuff like that. It's, a lot of the life lessons I learned there, I still carry today. So, it's just about treating other people well and, putting good out in the world and taking in other people's perspectives and trying to find middle ground, stuff like that. Because we came, there's a lot of kids that come from a bunch of different perspectives and stuff like that. um, but it was a great experience in that way. Commuting to high school at 14, that was a big thing. Getting on a train at 5:30 in the morning, or and then getting back home. Coming back on the train, get back home at 10, 11, and doing the same thing the next day. Kind of built that discipline. That understanding of I'm doing what I'm doing now for to reap the benefits later. A lot of those life lessons I feel like I learned at St. Peter's Prep. But I mean, as a player, it was kind of similar. On the field, it was just like I said, I played freshman football my freshman year, and I think I had an opportunity once they made the playoffs to come up and practice with the older guys, get that experience and everything like that. But again, when you have 10 plus Division 1 guys in each class, when you move up, it's a step up. You got to learn fast, and we had some dudes every year. We had some dudes, so um, it was a lot of fun. A lot of competition. And it kind of just taught me that you got to go in there and give it your best shot every single time, work hard every day, and by sophomore year I was able to contribute a little bit more. I was in the rotation, I was able to make plays, get catches in and stuff like that, and then junior year and senior year I was able to take off, because I've been comfortable at that point. But um, yeah, it's just putting in the work and not seeing the direct result, or the immediate result, but understanding that falling in love with the process. I think that was the biggest thing that I probably took away on the field.
for sure. And obviously, like you were speaking on, man, like that stuff did definitely did translate, and it was successful because after you were able to play, um, obviously into college, and a lot of people don't get that experience. I know for me personally, man, high school in general is a weird place where not every head coach is a pro coach, right? Like, and a lot of the people that want to come in and instill certain things and have a certain offense set. Prime example. I mean, you could be in an offense that doesn't really show off that you're a wide receiver, and that's it. High school is high school. Once you're done with high school, if you don't get those looks, it's over with. Fortunately for you, you obviously got those looks and you got the talent. So you spent some time at Holy Cross. What kind of developed into you getting that chance and sliding over to Holy Cross, and kind of talk to me a little bit about your time there. I know you didn't finish at Holy Cross, but I know it means a lot for you, and even some of the alumni that you were able to build up some relationships with. So let me know, how about your time at Holy Cross?
Yep. So coming out, again, I had, at Holy Cross, no, sorry, at St. Peter's Prep, we were bringing in a bunch of attention. We'd have the James Franklin on your sideline, the Ryan Day, or I'm not even sure. I think earlier on we used Urban Meyer, but we'd have those big Power Five school head coaches on our sidelines, and stuff like that. So there was a bunch of opportunity and everything like that. But um, I guess from talking to those coaches, I was just a little bit too small at the time. Kind of undersized. Um, so I ended up getting a lot of FCS offers, and they all started coming in or whatever. Ended up uh, I wanted to commit before senior year so I could focus on getting the state championship. That's something that we hadn't done. We had been there twice and hadn't won, so that was kind of our focus for senior year. Um, Ended up committing to Lehigh. It was a great school. I had great connections there. Loved the offense, everything like that. It was a home run for me. Right before signing day, head coach resigned. He was sick, so we ended up reopening my recruitment because things kind of fell through with the rest of the coaching staff just because I didn't want to sign early. I wanted to sign at the second signing date just so I could see, all right, who's the next head coach. Like you said,
Hmm.
the offensive coordinator, the offensive scheme, are they going to bring a new wide receiver coach? Does this guy like me? Does he not like, what I mean? Like all that type of stuff. Before you sign, essentially a contract, 4-year contract. So ended up opening up my recruitment, and then Coach Chesney from Holy Cross and Coach Viganic, who was the then linebackers coach, who's now the head coach. I mean, sorry, who's now the defensive coordinator at Holy Cross. And Chesney's now the head coach at JMU. They came down and heavily recruited me and just kind of preached everything that they were everything that Holy Cross was about, and kind of how they were going to help me, how I was going to help them, and just wanted to get me on that visit. Just wanted me to get up and see Holy Cross and see what it was about. And I finally took them up on that offer. Saw the facilities, saw what the school was about. Saw that I could achieve all my dreams, and they could, and then help them win a bunch of games and everything like that. So it was a no brainer. Once I went up and visited, and uh, yeah, it was a great time. Like you said, my 4 years there, all the Holy Cross playoff wins in school history I have under my belt. The last undefeated season I have, the only season where we beat Yale and Harvard in the same year. I have, we were ranked the highest, I think, I don't know if ever, but we were ranked, I think, sixth in FCS or fourth in FCS. My senior year, I'm 500 against FBS opponents, going 2-0 my last 2 years there. Um, so a lot to be proud of there. Built a bunch of relationships on and off the field. Again, another Jesuit institution, so great opportunity to grow as a person. And a great education. I definitely was challenged in the classroom. But for as small as that school is, the alumni network is probably one of their strengths at Holy Cross. Definitely felt the presence of the alumni and being able to have those conversations with those alumni. Having the access. We have this program called the 90 Wide, in which they have to opt into, where they have to be open to communication. Have to get back to you within 24 hours, and a lot of times it won't even take longer than an hour, if that. It's just a beautiful marriage of a great opportunity on and off the field. And we had the slogan "Have it all," right? You get the great education, you get the job opportunities after, and then you get the winning on the field. You get the opportunity to go to the next level. The high end facilities. You literally had it all at Holy Cross. So I definitely enjoyed my 4 years there for sure.
Yeah, man. We definitely have a couple more things to touch on when it comes to Holy Cross and your time there. But I do have a little trivia, I guess, a little question for you. And obviously, this is a Giants channel. I talk about the Giants, man. There is a certain player that plays the same position as you that came from Holy Cross and is still in the league today. Played a year on the Giants. Do you know who that player is?
Are you talking about Khalif?
Khalif Raymond. Khalif Raymond spent 1 year on the Giants. I wish he was here longer because I mean he's still in the league, and unfortunately he's kind of down with the injury right now. You ever spoke to him? Do you speak with him often?
Oh yeah. Khalif was kind of a big role model, kind of. Kind of like a bigger brother in my process. Just seeing someone that went to Holy Cross and then ended up going to the NFL. He's a big inspiration for a lot of us at Holy Cross. He would come back, kind of drop knowledge on us. There was a couple times he'd hop on Zoom and talk to the team, but I was able to personally get his number and be able to talk to him and soak up knowledge. Especially being a smaller player, kind of relating to his process and how to, because a lot of times, everyone you want to go to the NFL, right? And
Yeah.
the best way to get knowledge about it is ask someone who did it, especially someone who did it from your school. So, I take a lot from Khalif, and fortunately enough, this year at training camp, we ended up, having the joint practice with the Lions, and I was able to talk to him before and after each practice, and then after the game and everything like that. But I look at Khalif as someone I look up to.
No, that's dope. Yeah, and especially considering once again he's still in the league. Like for me growing up, and I'm sure you heard it, like the NFL stands for not for long. Like people that make it, they don't necessarily stay there. He's been there for I think 6+ years now. So I mean, shout out to Khalif, and that's something I didn't know until we were doing this interview. So it's really dope to see that. So looking into overall your time at Holy Cross, I came across this one game, and I want you to take me back. I know you played a lot of football. A game against Lafayette. You ended up having a big game, ended up putting up 3 touchdowns. Do you remember that game specifically? And do you remember, I guess, kind of the plays that you made on there? I went ahead and looked into it. And obviously, you're an explosive player, but you also caught a couple touchdowns or within 20 yards. Do you remember that game and overall how you felt in that game overall?
Yeah, junior year, that was at home against Lafayette. I do remember specifically, yeah, how I felt just because Lafayette. I'll say this: in my 4 years at Holy Cross, I've only lost one game in conference, and that was Lafayette my freshman year. So that was one team that we'd always battle with Fordham because they would have one of the best offenses in the country, but kind of like one of the weaker defenses in the country. So it was one of those things where we just kind of had to do what we do, score, and then it come down to the end, and we just kind of finish it. But Lafayette was one of those teams that they always like had a sneaky ability to kind of beat you. You know what I mean? And we I guess my freshman year took that too lightly. Their record, it didn't really matter if they were 7-0 or whatever. Um, it's it was always tough. So, that game kind of was personal for me. And yeah, my junior year, we kind of shifted from the offense that we've been running. That was my third offensive coordinator in 3 years, especially, that was my first year back from COVID. We had the COVID spring. I had a big freshman year, and then the COVID spring, I only played one game, got close contacted for 2 weeks, and then actually had COVID for 2 weeks. So I only played one out of 5 games. And you wait a whole year to play football, and you guys get 5 games, only get one. So then now the next year, all of a sudden I went from freshman to junior. I kind of felt like I had to reintroduce myself. That was my first time, moving outside. I felt like there were more opportunities playing outside, so I was playing outside and inside. And just battling through, the new challenges that come with going against press every play. Being on the outside, fighting against the sideline as well. So all that type of stuff, all the nuances of playing outside. So I kind of felt like I had a little dip in production in the beginning, and I kind of had become a little frustrated. So I voiced my frustration with my offensive coordinator, my head coach, my receiver coach. We always had a open line of communication and everything like that. So that game, I'll never forget it. My head coach, he kept asking me, he's like, "Well, Ayir, like, what do you want? Like, what concept do you want? Whatever." and I just tell him like, just give me a fade. I was like, you know what I mean? Like I just I'm giving them a release. I'm beating them. I'm like, just put it in front of me. I'll just go running and go get it. And he's like, do you want like a switch fade, or is it like a, switch? I'm like, coach, just give me a fade. So actually our starting quarterback was dealing with an injury, so we had Marco Siderman in. Me and him had a pretty good relationship as well. So we get into the red zone. And they got me going a little bit earlier. Giving me some screens and stuff. Getting us warmed up. But Marco Sideman throws me. It's like a just a fade, but it was the defender was actually in good position. So Marco threw a back shoulder. I was able to adjust to it, catch it, get in the end zone, and yeah, it was one of those games. You just feel it. Like there's some games where you just feel like you're unstoppable. That was one of those games. I come back to the sideline. Coach asked me like, all right, so what do you want now? I told him a fade, straight up. Like, Slook was actually able to come back in. He was feeling better. So now I'm on the left side, get press man again. I beat him outside. Slook gives me a good ball. I go score another touchdown. And then we get to like the third or fourth quarter. I forget what it was, but Marco's back in, and I'm backside one on one. I look, the safety's too far inside. I'm looking like, all right, like obviously I'm getting this ball. I call fade. I give it like a glance stem, set it up. Marco again with another great back shoulder ball. Because at this point they're expecting the fade, so they're overplaying it. But Marco gives me a back shoulder ball, and I had 3 touchdowns that game, so it was a lot of fun. Um, it was one of those games where, as a receiver, all receivers want the ball, right? And you're telling your coach, hey man, give me the ball, give me the ball. But sometimes you might say, hey, give me a fade, and then they're in, cover two man, or too high man, and now you got a guy playing you low hip and the safety over top. So now, quarterback got to throw it out of bounds, and everyone's looking at you like you said you wanted to fade, you're not that guy. Like, so, whenever you can say something and then come through with it, and make a play, you like that. So for me to be able to do that all game and kind of call my own number, it was definitely a confidence boost. I think it boosted everyone's morale, and it was a good game for me. I definitely appreciated that. I never until that point, like all my life, I'd never had 3 touchdowns in a game. I'd always had 2 touchdowns. I had 2 touchdowns, an interception, forced fumble. You know what I mean? I've done all that type of stuff since Pop Warner. Never was able to break 3 touchdowns, unfortunately. So that was really cool for me.
Yeah, man, that's special. I mean, and like I said, even looking at it, 9 receptions, over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns, like that's like a monster game. And even for people in the league right now, like you would sign up for that any day of the year because that might be like someone's best performance in general. Just talking about that game specifically once again, and just walk me through who you are as a person, right? As a wide receiver, you want the ball. You got the ball a lot. Most likely there was defenders that probably, hey, if you're in the film room after that game and someone goes off for 3 touchdowns on you, and I'm not saying it was the same defender, you let me know, man. Are you a trash talker? That's one. And two, how would you describe like being on the other side? I mean, you played football your whole life. You know, on the other side, I mean, most of the time they're kind of the ones that are talking for the most part until you put up numbers like that. So, one, are you a trash talker? And two, like, how was it for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a trash talker. Like I enjoy, talking. I think that the best type of football is when you're out there talking trash and you get into it and everything like that. Never really crossing over a line. I like to obviously just keep it all football and keep it fun. But when you're letting a guy have it, I think it's also kind of important you let him know. You know, um, a lot of times it gets me going. We would have a healthy competition in practice a lot of times at Holy Cross. So we had our fair share of trash talk and everything like that. So it was, I think it makes the game a lot more fun. Um, in that game, like I said, I really felt like there was nothing I couldn't do. And again, I mean, at the height of my game, that's what I feel. A lot of times it's like, all right, I can play inside, I can play outside, I can come out of the backfield. I can catch a ball at the line of scrimmage and take it to the house, or I can give you a double move and take it over top. I can run past you or whatever. So, um, and that's kind of the mentality I had. That's kind of the mentality that we bred in the wide receiver room at Holy Cross. When it's all said and done, I think we're gonna end up having like 3 or 4 of those guys in the NFL at some point. So, um, we had a lot of talent, especially for an FCS, Jesuit Catholic school, 4,000 kids. We had a lot of talent on that team. I think already 7 of those guys are in the NFL. So, I say a lot to say, like, if I didn't get double teamed after my sophomore year, if I wasn't double teamed, I took it as disrespect. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel like there was any players out there that like that could sit with me on an island, and then especially not for a whole game. Like that was not something that I took lightly. Especially, I mean, not many teams did, but I remember there was a team that traveled a kid with me, and I didn't take lightly to that. You know what I mean? It's like you're telling me that this kid can stop me from doing what I'm doing when it's just him. You know what I mean? Like, but that's kind of how we were, right? As a receiver core. I mean, we had Jalen Coker on the outside, who is now having a great rookie season with the Carolina Panthers, and that kid's a monster. We had Tenyo Ayeni, who spent time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We had Spencer Gilliam, we had Dominic Thomas, we had Byron Shipman, we had Justin Shorter, who's coming out now. We had a lot of dudes. So a lot of times I'm telling you, like, one of us needed the double team. And if you didn't double team one of us, I mean, then you would lose all over the field. So a lot of times they would double team one of us and then the other guys would eat. So again, it's almost like, all right, some games they'll double team me, now Coker goes off. Or, maybe the first quarter, I mean, it's me, then it's him. But to go into a game and not get the double team again was a sign of disrespect. They're a lot of teams are all right, we're gonna live. I felt like Lafayette kind of in that game wanted to take away Coker, and they were like, "All right, like make Ayir beat us." And I took that as a personal challenge. So yeah, you let them have it. You're talking junk because at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of times you don't want someone to talk junk. You stop them, right? I'm not a guy that when I'm not doing anything, I'm loud. You're gonna see me before you hear me.
Yeah, man, that's what I hate to see. And like I said, I played receiver in high school. And obviously the receiver position, it's hard because you're relying on the quarterback getting you the ball. If you're not getting the ball, then you're probably not having a good day, or people are gonna look at you and say, "Hey, you didn't have a good day today." If DBs can celebrate when a ball is overthrown and say that they strapped you up when the ball was not even in your vicinity, then it's only right that if you're doing something on them, you definitely let them know. So that's definitely why I had to ask, man. And you spoke on Jalen Coker. I was gonna bring him up eventually, and we're going to tap back into him. But when I saw that you guys were on the same team, man, I was shook. I really was. And I know obviously he was undrafted, signed on to the Panthers. And I saw when you were posting him, and I realized that you guys played together. I mean, it's kind of dope to think that you guys were on the same team. And once again, like, some of the people that you're playing don't necessarily get another chance to play football. And imagine being a DB and lining up against two guys that ended up making it to the league. Like, hey, bro, they're probably. Let me not get crazy. I was gonna say something crazy. Let me stay within bounds. But the point is that they're probably not playing football after those games, but yet they had to sit there and play two pros. So definitely shout out to Jalen Coker and
He's hooping.
you being his teammate. So now I want to dive in to your time at Wyoming. You did spend 1 year at Wyoming, but arguably, I mean, you can let me know. I think it got to be probably one of the most important years for you because this is the year prior to you entering. So you let me know about your time at Wyoming, why you slid over to Wyoming, and overall how you feel like that set you up for the next step.
Yep. So, at the end of my senior year at Holy Cross, I had a decision to make. Holy Cross is only has undergrad, no postgrad. So if you want to do a 5th year, you essentially have to delay your graduation from the spring to the winter so you can play. And already that was a process in itself. I kind of wanted to graduate when I wanted to graduate. I had the extra year because of COVID. So I felt like there was an opportunity had there where I could, explore the portal. I mean, I entered the portal with like 1,600 yards and however many touchdowns, maybe 17 or something like that. So I had a decent resume behind me. I would be graduated, so like getting into the school whenever wouldn't be a problem or anything like that. And I felt like the direction our offensive scheme was going at Holy Cross was Q run duo, 12 personnel and stuff like that, which was again cool. We were winning games and everything like that. But as for like you said, being able to display my ability and everything, I didn't think a lot of it translated to the NFL or what I would be doing in the NFL. So I did my 4 years. Again, we won a lot of games, built a lot of memories and everything like that. But with my last year, kind of a gifted year, with COVID because I played every game since my freshman year. I wasn't originally planning on having a fifth year, but um, being gifted that extra year, I thought it was only right that I kind of bet on myself and take a chance. So, I sat down, talked to everyone I had to talk to the head coach, and told everyone, all right, like this is what I'm gonna do, and then entered the portal. Um, and again, I had a bunch of opportunities initially. There's a whole bunch of opportunities, but the thing with me is that Holy Cross, you can only graduate, like you can't graduate early. So, there wasn't there wasn't any winter grads. So I couldn't, do 3.5 and then graduate, transfer and go play for someone, and join their spring, join them for spring. So with 1 year left, essentially whoever was going to take me had to understand this. They had to look at me and see me as the player that was smart enough to come in June and then be able to learn the offense to the point where I could compete in August so I could play September through, through the rest of the season. Because again, you're not bringing in a scholarship kid with 1 year to sit, so that's kind of how they would have to see me. And a lot of teams came in, had some Big Tens, some ACCs, some Big 12s, and then pretty much like all of FCS. But at that point, you get the opportunity to go bigger. You're not going to go, lateral. At that point, we were undefeated at Holy Cross. We went to the third round in the playoffs, lost to South Dakota State, who ended up winning the national championship and everything like that. So, we did everything but win a national championship at Holy Cross, and I felt like that was kind of our best chance my senior year. So FCS was kind of out of the way for me. But the University of Wyoming was on me since day one in the portal. The wide receiver coach, Coach Grant, flew all the way out. Came and visited me in my apartment. Kind of laid out what was going on, and they had a pro style offense. It didn't really throw the ball as much, but they felt like they needed more, X play ability, more down the field power. Had a quarterback in Andrew Peasley who just had transferred in from Utah State. So now this is his second year under the offense. Had a control over it, had a stable coaching staff. So, a bunch of the things that attracted me, and then an NFL pedigree. A bunch of NFL dudes coming out of Wyoming, on both sides of the ball. So, it was kind of a great idea for me. Again, I had some bigger opportunities, but a lot of them were kind of, you know, they didn't like the idea of me not coming in the spring because again, that's a big risk you got to take. Wyoming was fully, invested in taking that risk, so that meant a lot to me. Going out, meeting Coach Bull, doing my official visit, and getting to meet the people of the state of Wyoming. Because when I went, I think they were on Christmas break or whatever, so none of the students really there. But I got to meet a lot of people. Being in the city of Laramie, um, they took me snowmobiling first time ever. It was just a great opportunity, and just be able to bring my family, my friends out to a whole different part of the country. I've been to the West Coast again. I told my cousin played at Stanford. And I'm from the East. Played my college ball in the Northeast, but to play in the West, not the Midwest, but the West, on the high plains, was definitely a unique opportunity for me. So it all kind of married up, and I was able to go out and become a cowboy.
Yeah, man. Definitely different type of year for you. And I know you said about COVID. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I will say like COVID was just something different for everybody. And it's honestly like you don't look back at it and say like you would change anything you do, I'd assume. But it really sucks that COVID kind of came and kind of it didn't cost you a year in a sense, but it kind of almost did. I mean, and it did that to a lot of people. It made college football in general with people how eligible they were and stuff. It really changed a lot of different things. And me being, I don't watch too much college football, I'll be honest, so I don't really know too much about goes on in it. But you see a couple of times that even you turn on the TV this past season, you talk about guys that's been in college for 6 years, going on their seventh because they're redshirted and XYZ. Like it really changed the landscape. I feel of certain people, and now you're starting to see people come into the league from that. I mean, as we start to transcend out of it. Um, but really, really dope insight on Wyoming in general. And like you said, I mean, you had your options, but they were fully vested in you. I think that's a dope experience to have, like to feel wanted. So someone to go to those lanes to go out to your apartment and stuff like that. I mean, that's really dope to see. So leaving Wyoming, you declare for the draft, and a lot of times people have adversity. Some people can look at things as adversity. I think you have more like success than anything else, but you don't hear your name called on the NFL draft. Tell me about your feelings like from that time and your process moving forward. We know that you ended up signing with the New York Giants. But what about that little gray area between those that time? Because they signed pretty quickly after the draft. I've been seeing it from that. So let me know how that time was.
So, for me, you kind of get a draft grade when you come out. When you declare for the draft and everything like that, you kind of know, the scouts have been in and everything like that. Um, there was a little bit of a process because when I got to Wyoming, there was a confusion. They thought I had like the school thought I had 2 years, and they were kind of like, for instance, if you watch any of the games, they would put me as a junior, but I was a graduate, 5th year senior. So, some of the scouts didn't know, how like what I was gonna do or whatever like that. So, someone thought I was coming back, and I would have came back if I had an extra year, but again, I didn't. So, I came out. They were like, I kind of had the undrafted grade, because again, I didn't really have, I didn't have a spectacular size or anything like that, or in the crazy stats. Not really. I mean, I had crazy averages, but again, at Wyoming, we probably threw the ball 12 to 15 times a game. So it's averaging like 2 targets a game. I don't know who you guys think I am, but I'm not going to be able to average 100 yards off 2 catches, 2 targets. So that wasn't what my game was. It was a little bit. It was explosive plays and being able to I led the team in touchdowns and was able to do what I was able to do with my opportunities. But that's all you can do. So again, very fond of my time at Wyoming. We won a bowl game. You got the nine game wins, 9 wins. And then my head coach retired, so it was a great time there. But declared for the draft. Went down to Hollywood, Florida. Was down training with Test Academy, the training facility that I've become close with because of Tony Razziopi, the quarterback trainer, being from my hometown and their home base being in New Jersey. So I was working with Otto, in our sprints and stuff like that. Working with Brandon White with the receiver drills and everything. Great time, put in a lot of work, ate right, got our bodies right. Worked at Alchemy in Florida with Sharif, who works with a bunch of NFL guys now. It's just a fantastic time. Spending 2 months, January and February, especially being from the Northeast, being in Wyoming where it was 10 degrees and ridiculous. And then waking up and now it's 75, 80 degrees at 7 a.m. For 2 months. That was just a dream. So super fond of those times. Did my pro day, had a good time. Worked out for a couple teams, and then you get to draft day, and there's some teams that talked about drafting me. They're like, oh, late in the sixth or the seventh. If we have the opportunity, we'll come grab you, and then it's really unpredictable in those rounds, just because everyone kind of knows who's going in the first round. Everyone kind of knows who's going in the second, and maybe even the third. But after that, it really gets dicey because it's all about need, right? If a team was talking about getting me in the seventh, but they ended up having the opportunity and picked up a receiver in the fifth, probably not going to get another receiver in the seventh. You know what I mean? So, um, that's kind of how it shaked out. You gotta, at the end of the day, you need a team that likes you to need you, and I really wasn't too worried about it. I had my family with me. At the end of the day, I just wanted an opportunity. And yeah, it was. I wouldn't even say that stressful. I mean, I kind of work from a standpoint or perspective of gratitude. Like you said, I had a lot of friends that had worked just as hard as me. Put in same amount of hours as me, but still didn't get this opportunity. So just to be as far as I am right now, it was just a blessing, and I kind of looked at it like that. I had oddly enough, right, the Giants after my local day workout, I didn't really think they liked me too much. But they ended up calling me right on day one on Thursday. They drafted Malik, sixth overall. So they called me like, we just drafted a receiver. We want to let you know we still like you a lot. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, why are you guys calling me on Thursday? You're not drafted. I'm like, am I gonna get drafted? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting there like, are you guys gonna draft me? Like, what's going on here? But then it was Friday morning. They called my agents like three times in the morning. I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, why are they so heavily, on this? And the thing is, I knew they only had like six draft picks anyway. So I'm like, you guys aren't taking two receivers, I don't think. But um, yeah, and that was just kind of something I took note of. There were some teams that were reaching out and everything like that, just seeing where my head was, or a lot of it was just talking to my agents and just kind of jockeying for positioning uh, for free agency. But I'd say as soon as the draft was over, I was probably signed in 45 seconds because yeah, it's my agent called me. He's like, "All right." Because you kind of go into there with a game plan. Like, here are the six or seven teams that like were like you really have a legit shot, you know. Two of the teams had full up their, they were already filled with receivers. Two of the teams liked me and they were trying to get a contract together, which essentially means that they had offered another guy, and was waiting for him to either take it or not take it, or whether they were arguing the money, whatever. And there were two teams that had offered me a contract. So I went. I was like, they told me. I was like, okay. I was like, reach back out, see what the other teams are saying, and then whatever they called, came back, called me in 15, 20 seconds. They're like, all right, this is what it is. I was like, all right, let's go Giants, right? I could be at home. Great opportunity. I felt like there was some, room for plays to be made. Um, Again, I don't really think there's anything better than being at home. So it was a great deal for me. Great opportunity. I was able to get signed. So again, that's why like draft night really wasn't that stressful for me because it felt like I got drafted. You know what I mean? I got signed right. They always say I was an eighth round draft pick.
Yeah. I yeah, man. I mean, some of the stuff you just sharing, man, it's crazy to think because I didn't know that's exactly how it works. Especially considering like how much they're looking for who to get, right? Like they invest their time in the draft, right? But obviously it's strategical. And me covering the Giants, I know for sure that there's certain times where they're gonna be putting aside time to say, hey, pretty much like prime zone for you. Maybe they're thinking, hey, you're gonna be kind of looming around after the draft. We'll wait for that opportunity to go ahead and scoop you. And you even see other undrafted guys that kind of get those opportunities. And like you said, going undrafted is not, it shouldn't be like a, oh my gosh, you went undrafted, it's the end of the world. Like you still got your opportunity, you still had your opportunity. And like you said, I'm sure you felt like you got drafted all over just like everybody else did because you're on a team. Like I think from when we're younger, we all envision being in the NFL, and for you to actually get there, that's an accomplishment, bro. And needless to say, everything else that you did after and everything you're going to continue to do, because there's a lot more for sure. But we got to the portion where we're talking about your time with the New York Giants. New York Giants is one of my favorite teams. You're from Jersey. Were you a Giants fan at all? Did you have any type of fandom when it came to the NFL?
I mean, now that I'm not on the Giants, I can actually say the truth. I grew up an Eagles fan.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like my household were Giants fans. I don't know if it was just like the natural competitor in me or something that kind of wanted to push against the grain. But I grew up, watching Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, LaShawn McCoy. Um, and you know what? I think the thing that kind of pushed me away a little bit was the fact that, the Giants play in New Jersey. They practice in New Jersey. Everyone lives in New Jersey. But, they're the New York Giants. I kind of, pushed me away because, we had, when I was growing up, we had the New Jersey Nets. We got the New Jersey Devils. So it was just kind of like, all right, like they don't even want to be here. They don't want to embrace New Jersey. And again, I told you, I'm big on Jersey, so I
Yeah,
think that's kind of what that's I don't know, but yeah, I was an Eagles
that's sick. That's sick. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. That's pretty sad. Because I'm gonna say a lot of things that you can't say. All right, don't say these things. I'm gonna say a lot of things that I can say. Obviously, the Giants are known for their history, but history is moving very far away. Obviously, you know where the Giants standing are right now. You got ex teammates on there, so there's certain opinions you can have. But I'm gonna be honest, we're kind of in a very down season right now and a down moment in general. Um, but speaking on the history, I mean, we trump the Eagles and everything, so that's all I'm gonna say. So no more Eagles talk. But overall, man, your time with the Giants, right? You spend your summer with the Giants. You actually go in there, and there's a couple or maybe one familiar face. I saw Benton Whitley. You spent some time with him at Holy Cross. Holy Cross is once again like one of the staples. I feel like for you, and really insightful to see how many of you guys are all over the league. How do you feel like your time with the Giants went overall? And then after you answer that, we're gonna dive into specific players that you kind of just had relationships, right? I mean, there's 90 people in there, and the reality situation is you guys are fighting for a spot at the end of the day. Even though you could laugh and joke around with each other, you're fighting for a position on that team. Talk to me about your time with the Giants and kind of who gave you, I guess, maybe advice or any type of relationship about being in the NFL.
Yeah, honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with the Giants. That locker room is filled with great people, great football players, and great leaders, honestly. So it was just kind of, you're going to somewhere you've never been, right? I've been a part of football locker rooms and everything like that, but never a professional team. It's my first time in an NFL. I didn't know how everything was going to relate. Like you said, I mean, there's 90 of us, and only 53 are going to be here at the end of the summer. So it's like, it can you kind of see a bunch of stuff about how cutthroat things can be and everything like that. But I don't think it was really like that. It was great competition, but everyone kind of wanted to bring the best out of everyone, and it was a really tight knit group. So I appreciated that for sure. And then the one thing that was really cool for me is, being the undrafted free agent, you kind of feel like the equivalent of like a walk on. Like, even though again, you have a contract, you're signed, you're doing the same thing everyone else is doing, but like, you kind of have that preconception that like, oh, like, all right, like I'm here, but I'm not. But no, you're like when you get there, you're there. Like no one cares how you got there, right? Because at the end of the day, you're a select few, right? And understand that like everyone wants to be part of that 90, right? Like the classes before you, there's millions of free agents and stuff like that, and that opportunity that you are afforded right there is just so immense that it's um it's insane. So, you kind of got to understand the gravity of the opportunity you've been afforded, and kind of lean into it and understand, see it for all that it is. And I was able to, you know, pick the brain of a couple of our vets, and kind of ask a bunch of questions. That was the biggest thing for me. Like every morning, Nacho, right, the D lineman, I think this is year 11 for him, or maybe year 12. So when we sit down, we have a conversation. I'm 23, so I'm like, you've been in the NFL since I've been 11. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of insane. And, we laugh about it, but constantly, trying to ask those questions of what, like you said, it's not for long. So obviously he's doing something right to be in the NFL for that long, so asking him, how do you stay this long? How'd you, make your first team? How long did this take? Or what's it, it's just the little things that again, you can't really ask just anyone. And for me, a lot of like, it's really important to ask someone who you got to ask someone who's done what you're trying to do, how to do it, right? You can't ask someone who hasn't made $1 million how to make $1 million. Like that's just kind of my thought process. And I guess you can, but the best advice is going to be from someone who did it. So a lot of the times the vets were who I talked to a lot. I was fortunate enough in the wide receiver room we had Allen Robinson. Again, another guy who is on like a year 11. No, he's a first rounder. So his perspective was a little bit different, but again, he's been in the NFL for 11 years. So, there's a lot of weight with that. I sat right next to him in our wide receiver meetings and was able to just pick his brain and, hear his little comments and what he thought. I have a rep and all right, what do you think on this? As well as having the coach give me his perspective and his feedback. I had a player's perspective. So it was a really great opportunity for me to grow as a football player and as a person. But definitely enjoyed the experience. The rookie class full of a bunch of great dudes, a bunch of great football players. I was lucky enough to be a part of that class, and still have those relationships today. Still have relationships with a lot of the dudes on the team. So you know, again, I definitely love my time on the Giants for sure.
For sure. Just speaking on specifics, right? Just kind of looking in and give me an insider look because I mean you were in the building and then you see how the season's going. Um, main reason why I seen we signed you after the draft, and I looked at it was because the wide receiver position has been lackluster the last years, multiple years, right? Being frank with you, I'm a Giants fan, so I can say these things. Odell Beckham left, they traded him away. That was a mistake, in my opinion. We haven't had anybody fill in since. And that has nothing to do with his success outside of the Giants. I don't think it's been that big for him, but specifically for us, we lost a guy and never really filled that role in. So I was looking for anybody and everybody. Hey, give this guy a shot, give this guy an opportunity because the wide receiver production has been bad. It has been, and there's some talented players there. But a rookie alongside you, we drafted a guy, Malik Neighbors. Give me a little bit of insight on how you feel about Malik Neighbors, what you saw from him in the summer, and if that stuff is translating into the regular season now. And yeah, man, go ahead and let me know.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors is one of the better receivers, probably one of the best receivers I've been around. For him to be so knowledgeable about, spatial awareness, he's one of those guys that expects the ball, so he's not gonna be surprised by the ball or anything like that. He kind of absorbs the ball. Um, if you give him a shot, he's gonna catch it 9 times out of 10. Body control, his build, he has that Jamar Chase, almost like that AJ Brown type build where he's a bigger dude, but he's nimble, right? So like he's not like a 6'5" monster that's gonna jump up over you and everything like that. But he's also not the 5'7" slot receiver that, if you touch him, would be off his route. So it's one of those in between. Like if you put a linebacker on him, linebacker's toast. If you put a smaller corner on him, the corner's toast. Right? He's too small. So it's one of those things where he's going to command a lot of attention from a defense, and if you don't, he's going to kill you. So, I think his body control, his ball tracking, dude's explosive. He sometimes you think the ball's too high. He contorts his body and jumps up and he's able to snag the ball out of the air. Kid's a dog, especially when he got there, he was 20 years old. Um, couldn't even go out with us and stuff, which was very interesting dynamic. But humble kid. I like Malik a lot. I was able to have a conversation with him a lot, and in the mornings, and go grab food and stuff. Um, yeah, Malik is a hell of a player. Another one of those, hell of a person. Kid wants to win. He's a dog.
For sure. And I mean, even looking at it, how it translated into the NFL. Because trust me, we were seeing all the training camp clips, and I'm just like, man, please let me see this in the regular season. Please. You've seen it against the Lions in the joint practices. You've seen it against the Jets and all that stuff, man. We needed that to happen bad for us specifically. So hopefully the future is bright for him. Obviously, him being a rookie, and there's a lot more coming through. And you surrounded yourself not only with guys like him that are rookies, but you saw Dexter Lawrence, who I think when it's all said and done, man, if he continues at this pace, he's gonna be a Hall of Famer one day. So it's really dope to think that you were in the same locker room as this guy. And there's a couple other cool cats on there. I spoke to Carter Coughlin, and I was trying to get him on here. We didn't get him on here yet, but I'm definitely gonna be looking to bring him type on eventually. So fast forwarding, right? Uh, Training camp's over. We cut from 90 to 53. You were one of those cuts. Tell me about how you felt in that moment, or speaking on what was your next move, because I don't think it's necessarily a time where and even judging from your character, I don't think you're gonna sit there and really dwell in it, but almost like, what's your next opportunity? What's your next chance? Tell me about that time when that happened, and overall, like, what is your role now?
Yeah. So, getting cut, that was kind of a big moment for me just because, getting to this level of football, especially, again, going from Pop Warner, to whatever middle school type football you were playing, to high school, to college, to the portal, and then another college, you know, I've always been a contributor or, a big piece of the puzzle, right? I've always been a playmaker for my team. I've always been, someone that you needed for the success of your team. So that was kind of the first time I ever got a no in football, right? Which, you know, um, and the thing is, people get cut, right? It's really tough to make the 53. You know all this stuff coming in, right? I'm coming in undrafted. My signing bonus isn't crazy. My guaranteed money isn't crazy, and that plays a role and everything like that. But you're like, what I mean, I've always figured it out. I've always been, what I mean, no matter what it looked like at the end of camp, I was starting. What I mean, no matter where I was, no matter what it was. So, um, now did I expect to be starting on the Giants or anything like that? No, but I felt like again, being young and cheap essentially for the team, I thought I had a decent, ability maybe to make the practice squad or whatever, but just to be on the team, that was, my goal. So to get a no, it definitely hurt. It can mess with your psychology, right? You're sitting there like, okay, for the first time ever, you're kind of questioning yourself, like, did I do everything I was supposed to do and everything like that? And it was one of those things where, all the conversations were good. Obviously the last preseason game, I had fumbled to open the game on a kick return. So, even though they said that didn't hurt me in my process, obviously, it felt like it did. And that's one of those things where I don't really regret it. I had a huge return that week versus the Jets in the joint practice, so I'm sitting there like, all right, like I'm already not getting too many reps for offense. So if I'm gonna make this team, I gotta make some shake on kick return. So I felt like it was a decent return. Just gotta hold on to the ball. Um, and it's one of those things that I'll live with. And don't really regret that. If I got a chance to do it again, I'd do it again. Um, you know, you got to take those risks if you want to get to the spot you want to be at. But um, yeah, man, it was just I took a day or two to myself to figure things out. Right, a lot of times I kind of just roll with the punches, and because everything always ends up all right. But with that one, it was kind of like, okay, whoa, you know what I mean, like because now you're in a situation of unknown. For the first time ever, there's no structure. You know what I mean? You go back home, you're like, wait, all right, what am I doing? So, and usually, again, like you said, you kind of just figure out what's going next. Like, what am I doing? All right, and for the first time ever, I kind of like was allowing myself to just go through the emotions, right? Understand, like, all right, this sucks, right? I don't like this feeling. You know what I mean? All the feelings, you cry, you yell, whatever, you go through it. But after a day and a half, maybe 2 days of that, then it was all right, now what's next? So, it was, team still calling my agent and, trying to figure out what's going on and trying to see if they're trying to get me in for a workout or trying to see if, I'm gonna work get signed to another squad or whatever. And that went on for a little bit. I mean, it's still even going on to this week, which is crazy, but um, just figuring out like, all right, like at the end of the day, right, you gotta figure out what your timeline is and what your threshold is, right? So me, I was able to save up enough in the summer to where I can still financially chase the dream. And in my heart of hearts, I mean, I know, and a lot of the people that have supported me know, I have what it takes to be an NFL football player. So that's never changed. That confidence, like the confidence in that has never changed. So be that as it may, I'm gonna continue going as hard as I can, right? So I've stayed in shape, working out 4 times a week. running, lifting, changing direction, all that type of stuff, tracking the ball, punts, running routes, all of that stuff. So, staying as sharp as I can. I'm pretty much as healthy as I've ever been, just because I'm not getting hit all fall and winter. So that's a positive. Kind of you got to take the positives out of the situation. Um, and then you kind of got to figure out like what's the next move. So, I've had some opportunities. There's a lot of interest to try to go to the CFL, everything like that. I think that my next thing, as the season ends, obviously there's a bunch of guys that go down, and there's still some opportunities within the next what 3 to 4 weeks. So, if someone, we never know with teams because we're still talking to guys teams and seeing gauging their interest, and they want to see if I'm still healthy and in shape and everything like that. So you never know how that might shake out. But for me, a more reliable situation is focused on trying to get into the UFL, seeing as to last year, it's a league that plays in the spring. So it's a better transition to the NFL in my opinion. And then they had I think 85 guys get signed out of the UFL last year. So and seeing how much film we would watch from the UFL last year, well, I guess this summer with the Giants, seeing that kind of, open my eyes up to the real pipeline that's kind of being built between the two, kind of the marriage between the two leagues. So, if I'm fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play in that league, I feel like it's another opportunity. Because at the end of the day, I was able to do what I was able to do. I feel like in the Giants, I killed it in OTAs. We had some injuries and I was able to go, move up, go get reps with the threes and twos, getting reps with Drew Lock and stuff like that, going against the second team defense, sometimes the first team defense, and still being able to make plays, score touchdowns and everything like that. Um, so I was able to do that. So, so, but you get to camp, and especially being an undrafted free agent rookie, you're not going to get as many reps. I'm leaving practice with 2 or 3 reps the whole day. And out of those 2 or 3 reps, one or two of those might be run plays, so that's really the challenge of, maximizing those reps, and you never know what they may look like and, how it might materialize for you. But, it is very hard. Now, with the UFL, I would be able to, get 10 games of professional film, being able to go out there and for one, man, just play football, right? I love football, and right now I'm not playing football, so I just want to play football. But to be able to again put that stuff on film, right? Show people what I can do with the ball in my hands. Show people the routes I can run. Show people the run after catch. Put all that stuff on film. That would be my goal because I really believe, I get that opportunity, I go, make the most of it as I always have, and then put all that stuff on film. I feel like there's no way I don't get another opportunity in the NFL next year. So yeah, that's the plan for me right now. But I kind of started. I don't know if you want to, kind of go into it. I guess
Yeah,
kind of just
yeah,
tee up a little
we'll
bit
get
more
there in
about
one second. Yeah, we'll get there in one second.
it.
You just gave me a whole monologue that honestly, once again, I could appreciate your transparency with it
Yeah.
overall. And then once again, right, like I said, and like you were just speaking on, like just because you got cut from that team does not mean this is where the road ends. I mean, you could think of a couple guys that made it to the league from those leagues, but I mean, the first person I think about, and it's annoying because he's in our division, is Kamate Turpin. I mean, Kamate Turpin made it to the league, and I mean, he might have played in the XFL. Was it the XFL? Do you know? Probably, right? But
It was the XFL, and then the XFL and the USFL joined. Now,
yeah, yeah. So either way, it's one of those leagues at the end of the day that is not the NFL. They see these guys play and still sign them on. So I definitely think the opportunity is definitely out there for you. And for people that don't know your game, we were speaking on it this whole, I mean, interview. But people that know your game, you're a speedy wide receiver, 6 feet and running 4.4. I mean, you let me know 4.4, 4.3 speed. You're able to burn guys, and you're able to put up, touchdowns. I mean, I was really hinging on when I spoke on it earlier, where you scored a touchdown within 20 yards, is because anybody can run past a guy, right? Anybody can run past a guy with athleticism and score. But when you have to let your route running be the telltale of why you score your touchdowns, that's super important. And I think that's a craft that you're definitely working on, and overall still have that ability. And like I said, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was looking at you when we signed you, is because I really thought hey, bro, you should have a spot on our team as a slot receiver. I mean, outside of Wandale, I definitely think you were right there behind him, and you should have been. Um, Obviously, teams make their decisions, and they make business decisions at the end of the day, right? I
At the
mean,
end of the day.
90 to 53, you're gonna have to cut from somewhere, and the wide receiver position also had a lot of competition. I'm sure that's also happening at other teams in general. So I appreciate your transparency on that overall, and for sure, like I'm excited to see what your next opportunity is. For us Giants fans, like I said, the Giants team in general and all that stuff is one thing, but for Giants fans, we always say once a Giant, always a Giant. So to wherever you go, man, for sure we're gonna be watching it and we're gonna be monitoring it. And I hope, whether it's with the Giants or not, man, we see you back there one day, and I think it will happen.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
Going into it, right? So another reason why I definitely brought you on, you're starting your YouTube channel, but not only your YouTube channel to document your journey, right? I just want to hear more about you as a person. Like, what are your hobbies and interests outside of football? Like, what are you doing with your time without football? And with the start of your YouTube channel, man, like, what is your vision in terms of where you want it to be?
Yeah, so outside of football, I've been able to kind of lean into who I am as a person. Like you said, obviously, I like playing video games. I like cooking, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But kind of really figuring out like what I like to do in my free time and kind of what I want to do in my future and everything like that. Um, when I was at University of Wyoming, I was able to lean into my nature side, right? So I was able to go out fishing and ice fishing and everything like that. So I've found out, I have a love for fishing. That's a big thing that I've kind of leaned into, kind of as a hobby. Whenever I can, I'm getting all the rods and the reels, everything set up, so I can do that a little bit more. And I got some friends that got boats and stuff, so trying to again build those connections and everything like that. But I think that the one thing that's kind of always stuck out to me is I love to give back, right? I love the idea of community, and I love the ability to give back to your own. And again, largely goes back to being from New Jersey, right? We have all these talented athletes and talented people, period. But specifically for me, just the athletes that they're homegrown, they're from here, and I'm saying you can go to the park and randomly see an NFL player or an NBA player, working out, and go work out with them, or ask them questions and everything like that. So I think that that's a beautiful thing, that really can be taken for granted sometimes, right? Just because of how loaded it is over here. Sometimes people forget, or maybe just don't realize how important that may be for someone's development, right? There's a lot of people that, like for instance, from my hometown, we had Carlton Agudosi, who went to the NFL and everything like that. I think he was killing it in the CFL for a long time. I think he's done playing now, but um, and I've actually was able to have conversations with him a couple times, and I'm like, like dude, like you don't even know how much you influence or impact my career. Wanting to be a receiver. I wore, in Pop Warner I wore 22 because he wore 22. It was all that type of stuff that he didn't even know. Never had a conversation with them, nothing. And it's just like, a lot of times you don't really understand your impact and how far it may really spread. So, so I'm in the process of trying to figure out, I want to do, some youth camps, get some, I want to, I got to start my foundation up and everything. I think a lot of the stuff of what I'm going to be doing is, giving back. How can I take everything that I got and help someone else from my community, whether that be here, whether that be in Jersey City, or anywhere that I've been, people that kind of have a similar situation to me, or anyone that can take something from what I was doing or how I did it. How, if any way I can help, that's how I want to help. So again, that kind of leads into me creating my YouTube channel, right? Again, having this opportunity, right? Again, like you said, on one side it's like, I got cut, whatever. But again, I'm not done. Understand, and I'm not done. I'm going to be doing this for as long as I can, and I'm going to be back. So it's kind of just part of my journey. But I got to some place that 99.9% other football players haven't. right? So, there's a unique um perspective that I have that, a lot of people want to hear. They want to see. Something that may be, normal again, like sitting down and having breakfast with Malik Neighbors every day, right? Being able to, talk to, Dexter Lawrence invited me to his softball game, right? His all-star softball game. And, we're there, hanging around LT and, meeting all these, Giants legends and stuff like that. Is just a unique opportunity, unique perspective. That now, a lot of some of my friends and former teammates, aren't NFL players, right? And, making plays on Sundays and everything like that. So being able to tap into that, kind of community that I built around myself, I think has been a lot of fun. And then being able to, lean into my creative side, right? Being able to create YouTube videos and just be able to talk about stuff that we naturally talk about every day. Like the stuff that I put in my videos, me and my friends, we talk about like, man, the portal's crazy. You know what I mean? And now we're talking about the transfer portal, or, what was your, process like getting drafted or getting signed? And, because again, it's not always exactly what you think it is. And, those are just some of the natural conversations that me and my friends were having daily. So it's like, you know what? A lot of people could take a lot away from these conversations. So why not just, you know, sometimes, I got my boy Lokesh. He's kind of my media manager, Lokesh Sutherland, and he's helping me put together everything. But it's just super easy for me, super natural for me. Put this stuff out. Not forced. I'm not really trying to be an influencer or anything like that. That's not really my goal. It's just I'm having fun. Documenting stuff that we were already doing. A lot of people seem to be taken from what I'm able to put out. But check out the channel, Ayir TV. We just hit 100 subscribers. I think I got 3 videos out. We're over 1,000 views now, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, man. And I think it's only the beginning, like I said, man. Overall, with the YouTube channel or with everything else, like like everything you just touched on, the insight you're gonna be able to give people is gonna be something that other people don't necessarily do. Even let it be known, like your journey back to the NFL, your journey. If you do play in the, I'm sorry, I keep thinking XFL. What was the league?
UFL.
The
XFL.
UFL. I know they did like a merger and all this stuff, so it gets a little weird. But overall, like that type of journey and insight you'll be able to give, some people don't give. So, and whether or not it goes off into 10, 200,000 views, anything, you're documenting your story. If I'm able to search up Ayir Asante one day, I'm gonna see what you're gonna have on your YouTube channel. So it's definitely gonna be dope. And I hope to see, more videos coming through. And I'm excited to see what's next for you, man. I really am. I'm gonna have the YouTube channel linked in the description, so everyone that needs to go subscribe over there, definitely go subscribe to Our Year TV. And yeah, man, I appreciate your time you gave me to be able to speak on these things. I think it was a really dope interview. Um, and overall, once again, man, I hope whether it be on your YouTube channel or I turn on the TV, I'm gonna see you on a big screen one day. And I'm excited for you, man.
No, I appreciate you. Appreciate your time, and this is a lot of fun. Uh, hopefully, we can continue working in the future. And again, I appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. All right, y'all. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Make sure you comment up, subscribe over to iEar TV, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.